Good evening and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly hangout where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. Tonight, as usual, we are soliciting questions and comments from you via Twitter at Mason Roundtable or on the Facebook event page. My name is John Ruark. I am a past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. And I will introduce Juan Sepulveda. Off to you, Juan.
Good evening, brothers. My name is Juan Sepulveda. I'm a member of Orange Blossom Lodge number 80 in Kissimmee, Florida, and the host of the Winding Stairs Freemasonry podcast.
Excellent. Nick Johnson.
I'm Nick Johnson, past master of Corinthian Lodge 67 in Big Time Farmington.
Welcome, Nick. And last but not least tonight, Jason Richards.
Like John said, Jason Richards, Junior Warden of Acacia Lodge number 16 in good old Clifton, Virginia.
And Robert Johnson will not be with us tonight because he has other Masonic obligations, so good for him for traveling and giving his paper on, I believe, colonial Freemasonry. So I've yet to hear it. I want to sometime.
And boo for him for missing the show.
Yeah, slacker. All right, let's see. Masonic news. We've been hyping it for a while, and Jason and I finally went to Burn Supper. This was your first Burn Supper, right, Jason?
Yes, it was.
And how was that?
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, the venue was great. The fellowship was fantastic. And if nothing else, you know, it's a night of Scottish poems, kilts, and stabbing a haggis with a sword. A spork would have been entertaining as well.
That would have been fun.
But it was a really, really cool night. The Brethren of Kite and Key Lodge up in Pennsylvania really know how to put on a spread, and it was just fantastic.
Absolutely, I agree. So again, if you haven't been to one, definitely go to one in the future. And Kite and Key is a good one.
Yeah.
All right, what else did we do this weekend, Jason?
Well, this weekend we, on our way back from Allentown, we had a chance to stop by Newcastle, Delaware, to visit the very first winner of our Sparklight campaign, Joe Schultz, and we got to meet several of the brethren from St. John's Lodge number 2 in Newcastle, Delaware, including their worshipful master Randy, and got to go out to a pub and share a meal with the brethren and present Joe with his big box of swag that we talked about a couple months ago, and it was absolutely amazing. It was just a fantastic time of fellowship. We walked around we walked around the old town Newcastle and got to see their old lodge building. And this is a photo that we took with them as soon as it comes up.
There it is.
There we go. Outside of the pub, we've got Joe in the middle, and we presented him a couple books and some various other knickknacks, both Masonic and not. And his lodge actually presented me and John with some certificates of appreciation for what we've been doing on the part of Freemasonry and TMR. So it was just a fantastic time. We had a wonderful time just breaking bread with those brethren, and I hope I get to see all of them again because they were just so warm and hospitable, and we just had a fantastic time.
Yep. And Nick, Juan, Robert, sorry you guys missed that. It was certainly good to give back to our fans, and they certainly were very hospitable and brotherly. So that's what Masonry is really all about. I think everyone had a good time. And
we got more out of it than they did, I think.
The beer was good too. Let's see, other news. So congrats, Joe and St. John's Lodge, for supporting everything we do and everything that they do for their lodge. Also, another thing I wanted to share was The Reddit pin is back.
Hooray!
For those who have been following in the past, they tried to reach a campaign, a certain level before they could get those printed, and unfortunately did not meet their goal. It looks like they're trying for a lower price this time, like half the price, and hopefully that makes it more palatable, I think, for most people. And of course,
and I think the charity that they chose is one that's a little bit more known. This last time it was the Seattle Children's Hospital.
mhm,
So it was a very localized charity, and I think that turned a lot of guys off.
mhm. Yeah, who's heard of this Shriners Hospital for Children? Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
No idea.
Alrighty. So go ahead, try again, get a pin. I think that'll be good. Masons like their pins. All right. And also, we received some news from some brethren on Facebook about, unfortunately, an arson attempt at a Masonic temple, but yet it was not on the actual physical temple itself. Sad news that some demole, I believe, found in front of the Masonic temple a dog burned in a crate. And I honestly have no words to say what is wrong with society here. And fortunately, even the comments on this site really don't jump to the whole Masons were behind it thing, because this is just a despicable crime. And I haven't heard any progress on catching any of the assailants or anything. But unfortunately, there was something implied there when it was done right there in front of the Masonic sign. And so you take the good and the bad. There are crazy people out there, and don't know what to say. What do you guys think about that?
I'll say that it's a horrific horrific thing to do. I mean, based on what I read, the dog was in the crate alive when they lit the thing up, and it died afterwards. So, just the terror that poor animal had to go through for whatever animal attempted to send a message. It's a shame, and it goes to show that we need to be very vigilant. And yeah, granted, we know the good that our fraternity does, but there seems to be a group of people out there that they're not familiar with what we do and the nature of our labor, and go to extremes based on their fear of the unknown. Go to extremes like this, so God knows what else they're capable of. So be very watchful, especially after lodge meetings and stuff. Not to be paranoid, but just be alert, because there are some crazy people out there, and you don't want to be surprised by a confrontation or anything like that.
Very true. Always be cautious. On a lighter note, another Masonic news item is that, as we discussed back in December about the opening of the time capsule, actually Cornerstone, Masonic Cornerstone, we found and discussed that there really was not a lot of news coverage on the Masonic contents of said Cornerstone. And I know that Jason this week found an actual description of not only the silver plate as well as kind of the Masonic significance. So what do you want to talk about that, Jason?
Sure. Actually, I got it from from Sean Gorley, one of our brethren up in Pennsylvania. He was the one who first found it, and I tell you what, we had to wait for History Channel to get it right. They did a whole little expose on the time capsule and the significance specifically of that silver plate in the time capsule, where it talks about Most Worshipful Paul Revere, who's a Grand Master of Masons of Massachusetts at that point, as well as his Deputy Grand Master. And they went into the Masonic significance of saying this was a Masonic endeavor and a Masonic ceremony that manifested in the laying of this cornerstone and the resulting time capsule. And it's it's really great that it's actually out there now that the Freemasons are doing something, other than practicing devil worship.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, it's sad that it took the History Channel and what 2 months now for them to get it right.
I'm surprised History Channel had something other than Pawn Stars on. So they've really declined lately in their quality, and so good on them. All right, now it's time for our next segment, which is MMQ OT. The Masonic Monday question on Tuesday. Nick, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, John. So, as you know, this is Masonic Monday question on Tuesday. And so I will read the question from last week and then the answer, and I will also read off the names of our TMR winners. For the week of January 19th, the question was, what was the name and number of the first lodge founded in Hawaii? And what was the charter and grand body? And the bonus question was, curiously, it was constituted through one individual. What was his name? What was his Masonic rank within his degree system? And where was the lodge constituted? And so I'd like to congratulate Dennis O'Connor of Athelstane Lodge, number 839 of the Grand Lodge of New York, Christopher Croto, I hope I did that right, of Dorchester Lodge, number 1 in the Grand Lodge of Vermont, Richard Zarth of Winter Garden Lodge, number 165 in the Grand Lodge of Florida, Lou Bedford, and you had a bunch of acronyms behind your name, and I didn't know what any of them were, so Lou Bedford, Al Leathers of Herndon Lodge, number 264,
Yeah.
under the Grand Lodge.
Yeah, he doesn't count.
Walter Zalea of Bay Ridge Lodge, number 758 of the Grand Lodge of New York, Gerald Brown of Lafayette Lodge, number 543 of the Grand Lodge of Tennessee, and Jonathan Primo of Lincoln Park Ionic Lodge, number 539 under the Grand Lodge of Michigan. Sorry. So the answer to that one, and these guys all gave the correct answer, was Lodge de Progrès de l'Occitanie, number 124 AASR, under the Supreme Council of France, is the lodge that we were looking for. The lodge was formed by Joseph Marie Le Tellier, an 18th degree Prince of the Rose Croix, and the lodge itself was founded in the store of Jules Dudot in Honolulu. So thank you very much, brothers, for your excellent answers on that question.
Cool.
All right. Now, the Masonic Monday question for Tuesday, which was actually on Monday, January 26th. I know this is getting very confusing, but that's okay. So, I went a little weird with this question, but I think you're all going to like it. So, this week's question is, this magical tome was influential with not only the founders of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, but also Aleister Crowley. It supposedly told the story of an Egyptian magician who taught a system of magic to a Jewish man in Germany during the 14th and 15th century. Your question, what is the title of this book? And your bonus question, which translation and its translator led to this book's rediscovery during the 19th and 20th century? When you have an answer, send it to masonicmonday@gmail.com. Don't forget to include your lodge name, number, and also the hashtag TMRMMQ. And remember, I will also be posting this on the Facebook page, but do not post the answer on there. If you do, Arsenio Hall will no longer be able to go, woo, 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 woo. So, thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. I always love your questions, Nick. You do a great job with that. Okay, into the meat and potatoes of tonight's topic. What is next? Now, this was a show recommended by one of our listeners. That would be Brother Edward Trayford out of Wichita, Kansas, who recently got his entered apprentice degree in December of 2014, and he might still be an EA, might be a fellow craft by now. But either way, his question was, what do we do after we complete the journey of the catechism and the degrees and become a full-on Master Mason? It's a great question because often, in my experience, it's been one of those things that you do a lot of prep work to get to the full-on membership, the Master Mason degree, and then that's kind of where mentorship may stop. So now, hopefully tonight, we will go around the room and try to answer some of our experiences, some recommendations, some lessons learned of things to do after becoming a Master Mason. What we will do is go through a little bit of a round robin and let each of the brethren here discuss a do and or a don't of what they should do after they become a Master Mason. So I'll get started and say that after you get your Master Mason degree, do listen, pay attention, absorb what goes on around your lodge. Make sure that you understand, or at least take note of all of the floor work that goes on, all of the ritual, what the protocol is when people move about the lodge, when they address the worshipful master. Soak it all in. This is the best time. You're singing with a new set of eyes, and everything is new to you. It's going to be confusing, but step one, the most important thing I think, is to pay attention. And I will hand it off to Jason for a do or do not, your choice.
Okay, I will go with a don't at this point, and I think this is really, really important for any Mason, more especially those who have just been raised. Do not stop working. You know, if you're going through the degrees in a grand jurisdiction or a jurisdiction that has some sort of learning requirement or catechism, it is hard work to get through the degrees and get raised. But you should understand that that work doesn't stop when you become a Master Mason. There is so much more to learn. There is so much more to get proficient on as far as the degree structure is concerned. And this is where you actually get to see the fruits of your labors as far as learning degree work, taking an active role in your lodge, not necessarily an officer's role, but some sort of support lodge. So don't stop working, because Masonry is a lifelong endeavor, and it truly is an organization, pardon the cliche, that you get out of what you put into it. And it's so, so critical for you to take that first step as a Master Mason into the service of Masonry in your lodge.
Great. I'll hand it off to Juan Nail. Juan, will you give us a do or a don't?
A do. Strike a good balance of your time in lodge and with family and work. Take those lessons to heart. Particularly, you will be excited about the possibility of joining different groups within the fraternity, or joining committees within your lodge. Just be mindful of your time and commitment. So do actually get involved in those things, but in a balanced way. Just like Jason said, it's a lifelong endeavor, you being a Mason. Therefore, there's no rush for you to try to get into everything at the same time. So do that. Get involved in a balanced way. The last thing you want to do is your wife saying, "You're spending so much time at lodge."
Very, very true. All right, Nick, can you give us a don't?
Oh boy, I sure can. Do. It's I'm like old man Mason, you and I, it's like old man Mason. Don't do what I done, kiddos. Anyway, so do not, when the petition vultures come in on the day you are raised, do not say yes yet. Remember what the secret word is. No. No.
Say no. Say no to petitions.
Oh, man, because you know what? The thing is, it took me 5 years. I know this is going to surprise people because they all know that I have a petition addiction. But when I started off, it took me 5 years. 5 years to join anything. And you know what? It was actually the best decision I ever made, because I was able to work slowly through the chairs. I was able to focus on what the lodge needed, and also work out how much time I would need for Masonry. And it was actually It was a lot easier. Plus, it was a lot cheaper. But don't feel rushed. I mean, you're gonna feel it. These guys are gonna swoop in and say, "Dude, you look like you could really be a 32nd degree Mason." Yes, you can, but wait, because they're still gonna be there tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, 100 years from now, hopefully. So you can wait. Just chillax. Just move through. The kids are still using chillax, right? See, I am the old man Mason, so they're all using that, right?
We're picking up what you're throwing down.
Woo! Yeah, let's drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Don't sue me.
Well, one other thing to mention is that your Blue Lodge has invested a lot of time and energy into you. Through getting you through the degrees. And so you, if nothing else, you owe them your time and attention for at least a little bit. Because I went right into to Royal Arch within a couple months of my raising, and honestly, I haven't done a single thing with it because I've been focusing on giving back to the brethren in my Blue Lodge who expended a lot of time and energy getting me through the degrees.
Great.
That is a wonderful way to put it.
Yeah.
All right. Since we have an even number of participants tonight, I will switch it up and go back to a don't. Now, the counterpoint to my do, listen, and learn is now don't assume everyone knows what they're talking about. There are a lot of myths. There's been a lot of things that have been always done that way. And also, there may be people that have their own skewed opinion of Masonic facts and trivia. So, my point is, do not take the first answer or face value. You know, it's really trust but verify. You want to make sure that you are getting the full amount of education that you can, and that just because a past master, yes, I'll say it, just because a past master said it's always been done that way, doesn't mean they're right. So I wouldn't say challenge, but respectfully make sure that you're getting the right amount of information that you need. Let's switch it up to Jason for a do.
Oh, for a do.
If you got one.
Yep. Do keep learning, and do keep that thirst for knowledge, because again, at the end of your Master Mason degree, when you're raised, you're just scratching the tip of all of the education and symbolism that Masonry has to offer, and you can devote whole lifetimes, multiple lifetimes, to studying the ritual, studying the tenets of Freemasonry, and their historical and esoteric beginnings. So find a group of guys that can scratch that itch for you, because you're going to find Masonry a lot more fulfilling if you are getting the kind of education and the kind of knowledge that you were looking for as a candidate coming into Masonry. So whether that's by podcast, by author, or just by like a study group like the Master Craftsman program, find something that works for you and gives you that experience that you're looking for. And it's going to be up to you to seek it out. So I just encourage you to keep that thirst and keep searching for that light that you're looking for.
Very cool. All right, Juan, can you give us a don't?
Yes. Don't limit your search to external sources. There's a lot that happens within your Grand Lodge and within your district. And considering the way in which we share events that are happening, not every lodge is as efficient in sharing events and calendar things as efficiently. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes, through the meeting, you have a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're gonna have this day," and "Oh, don't forget, we're gonna have this the other day, and we're gonna have this the other day," and all these things are thrown out. Especially when you're new, you might not know what all these things mean. So don't be afraid to ask. For in specific example, it took me many, many months to finally ask what the District School of Instruction was. I kept on hearing that on Wednesdays they have District School of Instruction. And I thought this was like some super high level thing that I had no access to, that I had to wait for a long time. No, I said, what is this District School of Instruction? Well, if you have any questions on floor work, if you have any questions or you want to practice some catechism, there's a lot of brothers there that can help you. Well, people should have told me about this.
Dude, that's really funny, Juan, because I had this exact same experience. Like district school, like wow, you got a whole school and it's there for everybody in the district. I'm like, I'm just brand new. I can't go to that.
Yeah. And it's been one of the best experiences for me to actually travel and go to the district school. I don't know how they do it in your jurisdiction, but here we have masters and wardens at a specific lodge on the first Saturday of the month. And that's the same lodge that's going to host the District School of Instruction. So unless there's a hub where the new brother is directed to look and connect the dots, okay, this is where they have the masters and wardens meeting, then that means that on that day this is where it's going to be. So just don't be afraid to ask, and don't limit to external sources.
There's really no shortage of Master Masons with a lot of experience who are more than happy to tell you you're doing the ritual wrong.
That's me.
All right, Nick, can you give us a do?
I certainly can. Do purchase these books. Freemasons for Dummies. Complete Idiot's Guide to Freemasonry. No, I am not getting paid by Brent or Chris. Although if they would like my PayPal information, I am more than happy to email it to them. But seriously, these books, amazing. I'm not even kidding. They answer so many questions. You don't have to feel like a dummy, and it's so true. You should be asking your mentor or anybody else questions, but sometimes you don't want to bother them. You just want to crack open a book and say, you know what? I'd really like to learn a little bit about these AMD thingies, or what's that double-headed eagle doing? I mean, it's great. These books, they're well written. They're really easy to get into. You don't have to read them cover to cover. You can just bounce around section to section. They're nice introductions. You don't have to grab Manly P. Hall and try and read. I don't know if it's considered reading when you're reading that book. It's more like open, turn page, slam head into wall, turn page, slam into wall. I don't know what you're saying.
That sounds like Albert Pike reading.
Oh, man. Albert Pike, comma, chameleon.
Comma, down, doobie-doo, down, down. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So,
Jason, you said you never sing again.
I've broken that rule twice.
All right. See, I got one. Now that we're going back around, I will do another do, which is read as much as you can. The internet is a wonderful thing. One thing I give my advice to my mentees is don't read a single thing on the internet to the best of your ability, so that way you're not skewed one way or the other of what certain symbols mean or anything like that, right? Come in with a fresh pair of eyes. After you become a Master Mason, by all means, Google search your heart's content. The only caveat I add to that is if you come across things that might be higher degrees that you may be considering later, again, use your discretion if you want to spoil some of that. However, once you're Master Mason and have gone through the degrees, you now know how your Grand Lodge and your jurisdiction does it, and then any other research that you find, especially with the globalization of the internet, different jurisdictions may do things differently, may have different working tools, may have different meetings behind some of their words and lectures. So you can now separate what your Grand Lodge does versus what you may read on the internet. So do all the research you can after you become a Master Mason. All right, Jason, how about a do not?
Absolutely. This is also really important. Actually, you should take everything I say as gospel. You'll be much happier that way. Do not get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. There are going to be Masons who are not going to agree with your outlook. There are going to be Masons who are very comfortable in doing things the way things have been done for the past 70 years. And there will be relatively little that you can seemingly do about it right now until you get yourself a little bit more established in the lodge. Don't get discouraged. You meet all sorts of people in this fraternity. Most of them you like, some you don't. It takes all kinds, and so just make sure that that you're giving it time to giving yourself time to adjust as well. Don't get discouraged and just keep coming back, because you joined this fraternity for a reason. Try to keep that in your mind as you keep coming back to work toward the greater good.
Excellent. All right. Juan, can you give us a do?
Yes. Whichever role you adopt once you become active in the lodge, even if it's just as a member of a committee, not necessarily an officer, do it to the very best of your ability, and keep looking forward. If you get involved, for example, in the finance committee, do the very best you can to make sure that you help the lodge in its establishment, in its strength financially. But also look at other areas in which you're interested and begin learning about them. One of the things that can become very, very difficult for a lodge to overcome is when people are not taking responsibility for the roles that they have accepted, because then somebody else who's more diligent or perhaps is more responsible then has to do their job, and whomever is slacking their job as well. So if you give your word that you're going to accept a position or a role within the lodge, do so to the very best of your ability. Do it with great pride, because your contribution to the lodge affects everything in that lodge.
Excellent advice. Okay, Nick, how about a don't?
Sure. Do not let Masonry become the loci or Loki or whatever, the center focus of your life. I know these guys. You see them. They're still in the honeymoon phase, and they become like they want to be professional Masons, right? And they do all these things where they want to be, Mason 24/7, right? Don't let it take over your life. Trust me. It can be very rough on your family. It can be rough on your job. We all know stories of guys who've gotten a little too Masonic, a little too less focused on all these other things. Some guys who turn Masonry into like their religion.
Mm-hmm.
I know a few. It's like they sit there and go, I think Ernest Borgnine said that. Where he said Freemasonry is my religion, and you just sit there and you go, don't say that, don't say that. But it's like these guys, and I get it. You know what? Freemasonry is awesome. There's so many cool things that are happening. You get all these nifty handshakes, passwords, and all that stuff. You get a place where you can sit down and do this salon-style talking. But seriously, it is not supposed to be the focus of your life. Divide your time up the correct way. You're all told how to do it. It's really not that hard. So trust me, do not let it become the focus. Masonry is just one thing in your life, not the thing in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen to Old Man Johnson.
Past master. Let's see. Let's go one more time around, and we'll go to social media. Let's see. I will switch it back up and go to don't. Don't forget the other travelers. I think one thing that people forget is, although you're focused on your journey and you're excited, you got a lot of zeal for the institution, but when someone visits your lodge, treat them as a brother. Welcome them in, right? And I've seen too many cliques in Masonry that you may, even at first, still be comfortable just with your mentor, right? Because you don't know many of the brothers in lodge yet. But if you see someone you don't know, go out of your way and introduce yourself. Go out of your way to extend that fraternal bond, right? And I just want to make sure that when people see people traveling, and if you're traveling, make the effort. Go forth and shake someone's hand, and you'll find friends and brothers you never knew you had. All right, Jason, How about a do?
Actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to end on a don't.
Okay.
I know. I'm
You
just
ruined my
speeding things up.
system.
I know. That's okay. There's enough negativity to go around. Don't give your money away to just any charity or any brother peddling Masonic wares who asks for it. This is important. You need to use discretion. There's a lot of Masonic literature out there written by brothers, and some of it's going to be more useful to you and your purposes than others. There's also no shortage of charities that need money and need Masonic affiliations and money for Masonry. You've got the Shriners hospitals, you've got eye centers, you've got Alzheimer's associations, you've got all of these different charities that kind of become pet projects for different appendant bodies and different Masonic lodges. Just go ahead and use your money wisely. Find a charity that your heart is really invested in, and if you end up choosing to donate to a given charity, make sure that you've researched it properly, and make sure that they're doing work that you really can get behind. So just do that extra step of validation and discretion, except when it comes to the Masonic Roundtable, because our pins are awesome, so you can feel free to donate all the money to us that you want. And I tell you what, I'll even sign a thank you card and put it in your pin package for you. But really, that's just use your head. Act with discretion, trust but verify, and just have a great time with Masonry, because it's a fantastic organization full of amazing people.
Awesome. Okay, since Jason just totally threw off my pattern, I'm going to let Juan pick a do or a don't to wrap it up.
All right. I'll do a don't.
Okay.
Don't allow the perpetuation of that gap. I speak about bridging the gap.
Branding.
And branding. I speak about bridging the gap. Particularly, something happened to me when I first joined Masonry and I went through the degrees. I had a lot of questions that were not unanswered. I took my time to ask the questions, but there was one thing that it took me a little longer than it should have for me to do, and it was to actually bridge that gap between me and the older brothers of the fraternity. Some of the more senior, more experienced brothers. And you've probably noticed as you walk into the dining hall, and you'll have different cliques, like John was mentioning. You have these little group of table that has a past master, and then you have all of this other group that obviously is just a brand new Masons. We all meet on the level. Don't be afraid to, if there's a seat available where the most illustrious sovereign commanders of the universe are sitting, that's your seat. You all meet on the level, and everybody's gonna embrace you. Don't be afraid just because they have a lot of experience in Masonry, have a lot of years, a lot of titles. Doesn't matter. He's still your brother, and don't get too frazzled about how you're gonna address him. Should I call him worshipful? Brother, he's your brother. That's it. And be respectful, of course, but there's so much that you can gain from interacting with these brothers, with their experience, with their life stories. So don't deprive yourself of that benefit. You're entitled to it. Sit with your brothers, whether you know them or not. That's the way. Just like The Simpsons says, a stranger is just a friend you haven't met. So go over there and meet them.
Nice. All right, Nick, why don't you round us out?
Well, since I'm going to be the voice of positivity, which is strange considering I'm old man Johnson, the past master.
Yeah, since when?
I know. Back in my day, we used to use Usenet. It was a beautiful thing. But seriously, do modernize your lodge. Okay, so when I was sitting in the East, see, this is going to be one of those talks.
Oh, no.
during my year, what we did was we modernized our website. We made everything awesome. We got on Twitter. We got on Facebook. We had set up a thing where if people wanted to join our lodge, they could just send us an email. We started taking video, taking pictures, getting everything going. And you know what? This is the thing. The world of masonry is on the internet now, right? Our front door is that webpage. Sadly, for a long time, we covered it with vines and miscellaneous kudzu and just made it so that nobody could find it, right? The portal was closed, and it was just filled with just old soup and cold sandwiches and, stale coffee. But we can open those doors up, get these guys in. They want to join. We live in a society where everybody is divided, where everybody just kind of lives within themselves on their computer, and all that stuff. Masonry is one of the last places where you do a face-to-face. So do modernize, do get in there, and make it happen. Because we are the future. We are not only standing on the shoulders of giants of our predecessors, but we are to grow tall so that our next generation can see even further and get even farther. So
Beautiful.
that is my advice to all you young Masons out there. And now I'm going to go back to sleeping on my very comfortable sideline chair as I drink my stale coffee.
I think I shed a tear on that one, Nick. That was beautiful.
Me too. Let me tell you. I think so. I'm so
I
old
did
my
too,
feet
but
are
I'm
still
blaming it on allergies.
All right, Jason, what have we got on social media tonight?
You know what? We posted a question on social media before the episode. What advice do you, as our listeners and viewers, have for the newly raised Master Mason? The response has been fantastic. I'm going to read a couple of those. There's one that really impressed me, and that was from Sir Nace, N-A-C-E. The only advice I can give is keep coming back to Blue Lodge. Every time you see the work, you'll get something new from it. Your journey for more light does not stop at your raising, and I think that's so, so very important, that you just keep showing up. Too often, we have Masons who get their Masonic ring and they're like, okay, peace. Or they go to that first lodge meeting and they sit through the business and the minutes, and they're like, whoa, this is totally not what I expected. I'm out of here. Keep coming back. Let's see. There have been a number of people have reiterated, don't jump into appendant bodies too quickly. You've got a lot to learn with Blue Lodge. Take your time. Matthew Gallagher says, memorize the Grand Masonic word, no, as Nick alluded to. And it's really so important to set those boundaries when you're a new Mason, because Masonry should not be the focus of your life. It's your extracurricular activity. It's your fun thing that you do after you're done with your usual vocation and taking care of your family. So let's see. We give major brownie points to Christopher Coteau, who says, I would say if they're listening to this show, it's a good start. So thanks, Christopher. We appreciate that.
Oh, love you, Christopher.
Mm-hmm. And also from Greg McSeward, get a mentor and get active. If you don't have a mentor out the starting gates, come to Lodge and try to find someone who's willing to invest a little bit of time into you. These guys have already invested a ton of time into you throughout your degrees. It's not going to be too much of a stretch to say, hey, all that mentorship you gave me while I was going through the degrees? Would you continue that? More often than not, older Masons love telling other Masons what to do. You're going to be doing them a favor. Just go ahead and ask. And Walter Zelaya said travel. travel, travel, travel. That's something we've talked about in previous episodes, but it cannot be understated. Each lodge does things differently. Each lodge has a different atmosphere and a little different way of conducting their business. And the more well-traveled you are, the better you can form your own lodge into what you want it to be. And that just about condenses everything that we've got on social media.
All right, great discussion, guys, and I really do appreciate that. All good advice, right? We could go on and on about some more do's and don'ts, but I think at this point we'll start wrapping up, and I will start with Nick to bring us home.
All right, everybody, gather around, children, because I want to talk to you. All right. Well, in my years in this fraternity, I've learned a great deal. A whole great deal about everything. And I'm not going to make a point. Because I already said everything I wanted to say. So, anyway, yeah. But seriously, just keep reviewing everything we said because I totally agree with everything. I mean, we we as new Masons, and I remember this when I first joined, I was crazy about this thing. You know, you're in this honeymoon phase. Everything is new and fresh and cool. You know, you're running around going crazy, and it really does become this part of your life. But you really have to remember that first lesson in that first degree, and just think about everything that you're doing. You know, it's a beautiful thing. There's lots of stuff available, but you don't have to get involved in that stuff right away. You can just, be happy, being a Mason, and then start from there. Build everything up, and it's just a better way to do it. My blog is millennialfreemason.com, and yes, I have maintained my promise. You guys are welcome. I have released a new blog post. This one was about how wonderful Reddit is and how awful certain Facebook groups that I won't name, or other ones like that. Yeah, Gesundheit. I'm going to mix two things. I'm also a mod on Reddit, so come on down to reddit.com/r/freemasonry. As one guy said to me, he said, it's so old and weird. It's like Usenet or something. That's why it's awesome. So come on down, have fun. I will have another blog post next Monday, and also an MMQ. So thank you very much, guys.
Awesome. Been loving your new blog post, Nick, so thank you for doing that. All right, Jason.
All right, yeah. There's not really any other advice I can give the young Mason except just keep showing up. For all of you Masons who are either local to the DC area or travel to the DC area, Masonic Week starts tomorrow.
Yay.
So go, hang out, have fun. I will try to be there Thursday afternoon for a little bit, and then pretty much all day Saturday. So if you see me walking around, I will even wear a bow tie and make it easy. So come up and chat with me. I'd love to chat with any of you and get a chance to meet you, hear your stories, and hang out. So at that point, I will let that go there.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Juan.
All right. Well, this is a show that I wish I had access to when I first joined. There's a lot of things that I would definitely have listened to. If you have questions about what's next, keeping in line with the topic of the episode, brothers, I encourage you to go to our various pages and post the question. If you have specific questions about what you should do next and what you shouldn't do next, ask us. We'll be happy to tell you and share on further experiences. The conversation doesn't end right here. It continues if you find us on the MasonicRoundtable.com. You can comment on the post, or you can find us on Facebook, and we continue the conversation there as well. Talking about Facebook, thank you for all the brothers that have become members of the Winding Stairs Freemasonry group. We've had some really cool conversations there. We've kept the tone pretty amicable. I think Jason has done a great job keeping the trolls at bay. Man, never seen such elegance handling a band hammer before. So thank you very much for that. So we're approaching 1,000 members in the group. Yeah, if before midnight, if you're listening to this, invite a couple of brothers over. See if we can hit 1,000 before midnight. I will have an episode of The Winding Stairs to wrap up, related to rituals. It started as one episode. It has extended to become a series, and I am geeking out on this. The research, I tell you, has been so fulfilling. I cannot wait to hear your opinion on it. So to stay abreast, just find me on The Winding Stairs. Sign up on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, wherever you can find podcasts. And thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Juan.
My pleasure.
All right. Bringing things home. My conclusion of my advice for the newly raised Master Mason is, again, read everything. Read. The internet has a wealth of information beyond what you may get just from your mentor. Definitely check out the Lodge library if your Lodge has one. There are physical copies of books like the ones behind me that your Lodge may have, but even that is limited to the space and resources of your Lodge. The internet and the Google Book scanning and all that has opened up a wealth of information that is just a Google search away. So if you're like, what is cable tow or something like that, you will have a ton of information at your disposal. And so definitely read so you can get a further understanding of what each symbol, what each word, everything means. Finally, in conclusion, this is the time where we ask to support the show. As Jason alluded to earlier, if you're going to help a brother out, definitely check out one of our pins. And it's been really great. We want to let people know we are running low. The supplies are limited. We are running out. We are doing a new press of the pins and expect to see information on that soon. But if you want to get the first press of the pins, now's your time. So you can do that by going to theMasonicRoundtable.com and click on our shop button at the top. With that, thank you for watching and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.